Hi. Hi. Today, we're going to go over the basics of how I set my goals. And next week, we'll go through how I set my goals in real time. So from beginning to end, brainstorming to action. I really wanted to do both instead of two parts, but that was way too ambitious. So it'll be a two-parter. And I can be your goal setting buddy next week in real time if you want. So I think it'll be a long video because I have ideas of what I want my goals to be, but I haven't done any work on them, so you'll really get to see how I brainstorm and prioritize and all of that stuff. So come back for part 2 if you want. And if you're not familiar, because I didn't say it in my first video, Grow Gently With Me is a space for slow learning without overstimulation, hopefully. I do soft-spoken videos with ASMR triggers and easy to understand content. I work really hard to make sure that I'm being succinct and the words I'm using are familiar. And we're focused on self-improvement, self-directed learning, and eventually a community to support you. Right now it's just me, but I can support you. So let's get into goal setting. I've been testing out personal OKRs. I did that through the month of November, well, from the end of October to the end of November. And OKRs stands for objectives and key results. And the framework that I use is from Radical Focus by Christina Wodke. I think that's how you say her name. And I'll be doing a video on that book probably after the real-time goal setting video. So if you want to understand OKRs a little bit more deeply, I'll be going over that book and what's in it. But today we'll just go over the basics. And Christina has a couple blog posts on personal OKRs. I'll link those if you're interested. And yeah, hopefully you can understand her perspective from reading those. One of my favorite phrases is take what resonates and leave the rest. And so I've done that with Christina's personal OKRs perspective. I think it's pretty similar, but I'm trying to figure out what exactly resonates the most too. So you'll probably see that next week as well as I'm brainstorming. But let's get into OKRs. So objectives are qualitative, which means they're not measured with numbers. And they're qualitative goals that are inspirational to you. So they make you want to jump out of bed. They make you excited about working toward them. And they don't have to be super specific, but more of a mindset, I guess. And ideally, you want one objective per time frame. And in business loves quarters. So a quarter, if you're unfamiliar, is a span of 3 months. So Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So there's 4 quarters in a year. There's 12 months in a year. So Q1 is January, February, March, and so on. So typically in business, OKRs last for a quarter, which you can do for your personal OKRs as well. What I've been testing is just a month so far, and this next one will be the rest of December through January, so about a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months. So I'm working my way up to a quarter just to see what I can accomplish in the time frame that I've set for myself. So ideally you want one objective per time frame, and for me, I was trying out 2 objectives. So like I said, just testing things out. One of mine was pave a path toward freedom. So like I said, it was inspirational to me. Made me want to jump out of bed. And what that meant to me was during this time frame, I would be working on setting myself up to have a non-traditional income through freelancing. So kind of like financial freedom. That's kind of how I was using that word in this context. So, O is objectives, a qualitative goal that's inspirational, not really measured by numbers, and ideally one in a time frame to keep your focus, which is the whole point of the book Radical Focus. So what are KRs? Those are key results. Those are quantitative, which means they are measured by numbers. And they're quantitative effects that you want to see from those goals. So they tie together in that way, where the key results are for the objectives you set. Ideally, you want 3 to 5. And you don't want to box yourself in and add a specific strategy, just the result. And you can be as ambitious as you'd like. I think Christina recommends about a 50% confidence that you can achieve the result, your KR, your key results, in the time frame that you've set for yourself. And the reason why she says that, spoiler alert for the book, is because the idea is that any progress that you make toward that goal and toward achieving that key result is good progress, even if you don't accomplish the key result that you've set out for yourself. And for a gentle approach, definitely feel free to start small and get some wins in to help boost your confidence, and see what it's like. You can learn stuff, right? You can always change things as well. There's no wrong way to do this. So for me, the point is routine and constant improvement. And I hate hustle culture. I hate it. For myself. I think it works for some people, for sure. But I like rest. I like gentleness. I like comfortability, being comfortable. But obviously, when you set out to accomplish goals, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable, but I want to be my own support system as well and give myself grace. So I'm not a personal fan of hustle culture. So for me and my objective of pave a path toward freedom, one of my key results was get 1 subscriber on YouTube. And it was so cute when I posted my first video. I got 1 subscriber. So thank you. I did post my video last week, obviously, which was December and not November. But like I said, everything that I did in November was progress toward the goal that I wanted to do. So I eventually got that 1 subscriber. Now I have 2. Anyway, thank you. So a key result was get 1 subscriber on YouTube. And that meant that I thought of a YouTube channel as a way to contribute toward my freelancing goal, right? So Pave a Path Toward Freedom was, for me, last month about freelancing and having a non-traditional income. I'll get into that a little bit later, but notice how I didn't say how to get the subscriber. It was just get 1 subscriber, right? And so that way I could feel free to experiment with different strategies if I wanted to. And then I think if you get too specific, right, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but if you get too specific on how to do something, some people get stuck in that and you might find yourself boxed in. You can't really get out of that like mindset of, oh, but I said that I would post a video every day to get this 1 subscriber. But if you find that's not sustainable, or like you beat yourself up about not posting every day, or whatever, you know, like I said, I think you can get stuck. You can get that feeling of being stuck, which isn't very helpful. So don't box yourself in. Don't be too specific on how to get the key results. You just want the key results. And remain open-minded to the possibilities that you might learn over that time frame anyway. Because it's possible what you knew in week 1 is way different than what you knew at the end of your time frame. Especially if you're like me and go into research mode on how to do something, and then you want to look up like all the best ways and learn from other people. So KRs, to recap, key results, and they are quantitative effects that you want to see by accomplishing your objectives. Ideally, you want 3 to 5 for each objective. And that's the general idea of OKRs. For business, like I said, they're a little bit different. You can be a little bit more free in what you do for your personal OKRs. So it doesn't have to be exactly how you would do it for a business. And for these OKRs that I did in November, I realized 2 things. That I actually don't want to see YouTube as a source of money. I want to see it as a hobby. And also I learned that I want to have key results that I have control over. So getting 1 subscriber on YouTube was not something that I had direct control over, right? So treating YouTube as a hobby, I think is more in line with what I actually want to do. So I want to focus on creating a supportive community for learners. So I hope you'll join me. And when I make my goals, and actually sit down and do them, I'm excited because I have a lot of ideas that I'm excited to flesh out and yeah, share those with you as well. Maybe I'm in the honeymoon phase with YouTube right now, but it all has so much potential for me, so I can see this growing in a few different directions, and I'm excited for that potential. So thanks for joining me again. But for the second point that I brought up, where I want to have key results that I have control over, I again learned a lot from all the research that I did in November about YouTube and everything. And what I knew in week 1 was not the same as what I knew by the end of the month. And so I now know that subscribers don't equal a community. And that metric isn't really something I want to track. Because there's nothing I can do to get subscribers, but I have control over my posting schedule. You know, that's something that I do have control over. How many videos I put out, what days of the week I do, and not that those will be my key results really in December and January, but just something for me to think about. And I think while you do these goals, if you use the OKR framework, I think you'll discover similar things. So when you set goals, whether or not you accomplish them, there is so much to learn about yourself, about how much you can do, maybe more than you thought possible, what you actually want. Yeah. Turns out I don't know if I actually want to be a freelancer. I think I like the stability of a job. But yeah, like I said, I'm excited to get into the goal setting in real time with you guys next week. But you could find new and faster ways to do tasks, and you could find how much work something actually is versus how much time you've budgeted for it. It's all valuable information and data that you can use to create your next set of goals. And I know that I learned a lot. So excited to put that into action. Let's go to the next part. So now you know what objectives and key results are. What do you do with them? So let's go over that. I like the rhythm of Sunday or Monday reports. So beginning of the week. And Friday or Saturday wins. So the end of the week. So reports at the beginning, wins at the end. But what does that mean? So the beginning of the week reports are a way for you to take accountability for your goals. You'll list your priorities for the week, your latest confidence in your ability to achieve the key results you've set for yourself, what your next 4 weeks looks like, so just kind of like the highlights, and you'll also include a tracker for things you don't want to lose sight of while you're working on your goals. So let's go over those in detail. I'll give you an example. So for the first week of my time frame, which was the last week of October, my priorities for the week were to make a plan for both of my objectives. So that was priority 1 for me. And priority 2 for me was to vote early. So I wanted to get both of those things done in that first week. And by creating these priorities for yourself, you figure out what tasks you want to focus on, and you can be pretty specific about this if you want to. And the second part was your confidence in your ability. So my confidence for all of my key results was 50 out of 100. I chose to be a little ambitious, although the key result wasn't necessarily that ambitious. It was only 1 subscriber on YouTube, but so to an outsider, that might not be that ambitious, but it felt ambitious to me. So I only had a 50% confidence that I would get that by the end of November. And I didn't even get it by the end of November, right? I didn't even post a video until December, but that's what the framework's for, is to make progress, not necessarily accomplish everything, right? So I included my priorities for the week. I included my confidence level for my key results. And then my upcoming schedule for the next few weeks only had one thing on it, was that my girlfriend was going to come visit me for a week. So that kind of just tells you maybe what like your risks are, and like any risks to your goals, because I knew that when my girlfriend was here, I would not be working toward any of my goals. I would not even even be thinking of you too. And then the last part is your trackers, right? So my trackers are, or for November at least, for mental health. I was tracking my mental health, I was tracking my physical health, and I was tracking my friendships. So these are things that you don't want to ignore while you're working towards your goals. So they can be whatever you want, but just something for you to keep an eye on while you're going towards your goals. My mental health was green at the time of that first week. So green is good. Yellow is okay. Maybe just monitor. And red is bad. Do something about it. So my mental health was green, which meant good. And I didn't really need to do anything about my behavior or like self-care or anything like that in regards to that. So I was on the right track, doing the right thing already. My physical health was yellow. So I knew I needed to add in some exercises. I went to physical therapy for my hips. And I have not been doing the exercises, but I have been tracking how I've been feeling, and it's not been good. So I added in some of my physical therapy exercises. My friendship level was yellow. I really felt like I hadn't been hanging out with people that much, so I scheduled some time and had that to look forward to. I think I also messaged some people, but just making sure that that was all taken care of, so I felt like I was still close to my friends. To recap, you want to list your priority tasks for the week. You can be specific here and give yourself a to-do list, things you want to accomplish during the week, strategies you want to try in order to achieve your key results. You want to include your confidence level for each of your key results. And that'll give you data of how likely you are to achieve your key results when you're looking at your goals, maybe at the outset of making your new ones. Maybe that's what I'll do too. Maybe I'll add that in, kind of like an assessment of how I did. Yikes. And you want to also include your next 4 weeks, anything that you need to be prepared for or anything that might risk your progress towards your goals. Just things for you to be aware of. I think that's especially helpful for neurodivergent people who can sometimes forget things are coming, even if you've scheduled them months in advance. So this gives you kind of like an excuse to update yourself on your own schedule. And the 4th thing you want to include is trackers for things that you don't want to forget about while you're moving toward your goals and making progress, because they're important to you too, but not necessarily part of your goals. It's like maintenance, you know. You want to keep up the general maintenance of those things, even if you're not focusing on them. So those were mine. And that is how the reports that I do on Mondays are structured. And I post those in like a private Discord server. But you can send yours to me if you want. Like I said in the last video too, I hope to eventually have a Discord server where we can post those for each other. I think that would be really nice. But what I love about this framework is the end of the week wins. And that's where you celebrate. And that can be anything. It can be something that you were super excited to learn. It could be something that you're proud that you did. And if you're doing this, my cat's here. If you're doing this in business, the recommendation is to like do demos for each other. So if you have like a couple friends that you want to do goals with, I think that would be nice. And okay, that's also what I would like to do for that Discord server, but I think that's, you know, still in the future. But like I said, I got ideas. But yeah, I love celebrating my wins. I don't really journal. So I feel like this is a way to also like keep track of like some memories and things that I want to remember. But yeah, share it with somebody. Write it down for yourself. Share it with me. But yeah, it's always nice to have support for the things that you're working toward. I think that that's actually really important. Just that like validation, right? So for that first week, of my November OKRs, my wins were that I did make a plan for my first objective, because remember my priority task was to create a plan for both objectives, but I only did one. That's okay. And I voted. So I was excited about both of those things. And I was most excited about the creative flow that I experienced. Now I felt my ideas take more concrete form. And it gave me a structure to work toward. So I was really excited that I got that done. It's kind of the first time that my goals seemed like achievable to me. That was really validating. So, OKRs, objectives and key results, beginning of the week reports, and end of the week wins. And that's the framework. It's the whole system that I use currently for personal OKRs. And go through it with you next week in real time. So I don't plan on fast forwarding things or editing anything out, really. We'll see how it goes and how long it will be, and if anyone's interested in it, right? But I think for me, that's a video that I would like to see. I think that when people set or have goal setting videos, they fast forward a lot and don't really show what it actually takes to get through everything and all of the little details. So I'd like to do something like that. And yeah, if you're interested, I can be here next week. It was kind of sad that I couldn't do it together, but yeah, that's okay. To me, the most important thing was consistency instead of having everything in one video. Yeah, this video was a lot longer than I expected it to be. I started writing all of my points for it, and I think I got up to like 1,200 words, and this obviously is like way longer than 1,200 words too. But yeah, I was like, wow. Okay. And eventually too, I think I'll have like a blog, because I actually learn better from reading, and some of you might as well. And so I think having it in like blog form will help, which is why I, took the time to actually write out like all of my thoughts and give examples and all of that. And like the script, I guess, that I put together, because I'd like to have that up on the blog at some point. I did buy a domain, which was really cool. I think I got it for like $1 or something. Then I connected it to NeoCities, so I'll be building a website, and I think I'll have that as part of my goals. So you'll see that in my goal setting next week. Thanks for joining me today, if you stuck around for all of this, or if you're interested in learning about OKRs. I think that when people hear OKRs, they get kind of scared too. I remember going to this one job interview, and they were a bunch of like ex-Google people, and I think that I upset them when I brought up OKRs, and I did not get invited back. I think it was like other things too, but yeah, I was like so excited about them and so excited to tell them about them. And they were like, no, we did that with Google. We don't want to do that anymore. It's like, that's so fair. But yeah, thanks for joining me today. It's really nice to have you here. And I will see you next week if you're interested in that video.